Good morning, everybody, and welcome to my daily plan. And let's get started. I apologize. I was up late watching the football game last night. I'm kind of glad Aaron Rodgers got in. This is going to be his swan song. So anyway, we have Dan here today. And so let's get started. I'm a little late mailing my sending out my plan to my subscribers. So anyway, I'm just going to get started. So quick review of Friday. Let's just kind of do it with the not continuous. So Friday we had that. Where is it? Where's Friday? Here we are. Easier to find. Friday we had that pop up to 68.95, failed over there, went down to the gap fill, see gap level, went down to the gap fill, undercut it, and then rebounded and closed right below 68.60. And we had some end of day charm flow that kind of made that 60.65 over under 60.65, battleground, and we closed just below the 60 when we talked about it in the room. And then, as some of you may be aware, there was a police action in Venezuela that resulted in Maduro being brought to New York for crimes, whatever, for narco-terrorism, which that indictment actually is from the Obama administration, not the Obama, excuse me, the Biden administration. Biden actually, his administration indicted him, just laying on the shelf. So not a political statement, just a factual statement. I did get involved in a little bit of kerfluffle on Substack about this. Apparently somebody misunderstood a comment. So anyway, if I were wrong, I would promptly admit it, but I wasn't, so I didn't, and there was really nothing to say about that. Okay, moving on. In case some of you were watching the food fight over there. Moving on. So overnight session, there was a lot of speculation. Oh, we're going to tank. Oh, we're going to do whatever. So basically, it seemed to be pretty much a nothing burger. I looked at oil when we opened. Oil was down like 33 cents, and I think it's up a little bit. Let's just find oil for a second, just for fun. Yeah, so oil, basically trading in its range is actually up a little bit. There was some talk about the oil supply, more Venezuelan oil supply coming on, but then there was talk about disruption, whatever, even though it's illegal oil, so I don't see what's to be disrupted. But anyway, be that as it may, so long story short, not much of a reaction. And here we are at 68.75. And that's kind of, and I'll show you on the gamma chart in a minute, that's kind of a reaction zone. For my subscribers, by the way, I've decided to add negative and positive gamma, a little pos gets and neg gets to the string, just so you have a better idea what's there, because sometimes I use words like reaction store or whatever, and you might not be sure what that means. I had a hour plus discussion with the subscriber yesterday with him trying to wrap his head around some of the gamma stuff. And so I just thought that I'd do that and make it easier for everybody. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and share the YouTube, restack, retweet on Twitter and all that good stuff. And good morning, everybody. Okay, so let's let's take a quick look at the gamma chart. Then I'm going to circle back to the, I'm going to circle back around to the volatility space for a second, and then we'll go from there. Then I'm going to let Dan talk about some unusual options activity he saw and some trade ideas. And bad hombre, we have a star-studded cast today. Okay, so quick, let me cut to the chase. It's hours late, and so I ended up feeding the goats late. They were not particularly upset, but they were eagerly awaiting me at the shed door. So anyway, so here we are at 68, 70, 75 right here. So we're in this little kind of dead zone, neutral zone, where we have, okay, so to the left is market maker short, customer long. Somebody bought, if you can see here, well, somebody, there's roughly 1,800 long calls over here at 68.90 that somebody or somebody's own over there. So customers are long, market makers are short. They hedge in the direction of the move as it heads toward it. But then when we stall, then they sell what they bought to hedge it, and it goes back down. So the upside area zone is 70 to 90 to 6,900. We have what I call a double strike, 68.90. So if we can get on our horse and get to here and get to here, here being 6,900, so the 68.90, 6,900 area, add 42 points for ES numbers ish, and stall out here at 69.05. Looks like a 6,900, 6,905 debit spread. Someone bought, someone sold. Not saying that's what it was, but functionally that's kind of what it's looking like. The whole area down here between, where is it? 68.60, 68.50 in this area has got kind of a positive gamma cluster, sort of sticky, messy zone. The size of these is not that huge. 1,300, it's enough to matter. So it's, we could just kind of get stuck in the morass over here between 60, 55, so the area below where we closed over here at 55, 60 is kind of sticky, supportive, shouldn't, quote unquote, really break below it, shouldn't have a red day, or if we have a red day, 68, 55, 50 round number-ish. So this seems to be the main area, the 68.60 where we closed or a little higher, up to 6,900. Should we break below 68.50? It's kind of sticky with 68.35, which has been showing up again and again for weeks, really, as kind of a possible downside target. The 100-wide gang, that we effectively call them, sold a bunch of options down here at 67.50, so we're not getting there, and that's a potential bounce up. Was I not sharing my screen?
You were. I was just adding mine, and I didn't know.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, that's right. Now that we do that, you can do that. Now that we
my bad.
The admin, whatever. Okay. I never know. I could have been talking and I'm not sharing my screen, and everybody was politely just sitting there listening. Okay, good. So anyway, that's that. Dan said he has to leave in a few minutes, so let Dan talk to us. Good morning, Ivan. Thoughts on VIX? Yeah, I'm going to circle back around to VIX in a moment. I've actually been kind of deep diving on VIX a little bit lately because we're at an interesting spot. I'm going to definitely circle back around to that, but hold on. Let me just give a quick. I can't help myself. Just a quick look at VIX. So when we're looking at VIX, here's the regular. Okay, we're looking at the VIX versus the VIX contract here, the future at 16. So this is kind of normal-ish. the distance between here and here, 15 and 16. So it should resolve by expiry somewhere around 16. I'm not seeing anything crazy here. What I was seeing that was kind of a little interesting was the VIX-VVIX ratio was a little bit high. And usually when we get that high, it's kind of a little toppy. Just kind of look at the chart. Let's forget the math. Gets a little toppy. But now with that ratio is pulling back. So everything is looking kind of normal-ish in the VIX space. That's the short version of the story. For the long version of the story, I'll kind of talk about it later. Let me let Dan.
All right. My thing, yeah, I will try to be brief. Paul, maybe good morning first of all, and hello, Omra. Maybe Paul, could you switch off your mic so we don't have the double acoustics? Is it better now? Or you too, maybe, Omra? Because we have a loopback. I think now it's. I don't know where it's coming from. I hope you are hearing me well. Okay, seems to be fine. Let's do a very quick one. What are we doing now? We're gonna look at the flow. Because we don't have that much time, I won't be showing that much. Just a few things.
Yeah, you're gonna want to share your screen?
Yeah, I will try to share my screen. Give me a second. 1 second. All right, come on. Yep. Okay. Can everyone see my screen? Paul, can you see my screen?
Your screen is being shared.
Wonderful. Okay, let's start with the semis. We had a lot of flow, and on Friday more on the call side. And what do we see here? We don't see the flow. Basically, we can look at the volume with an open interest for the next 50 days. But what is more interesting here, how is the positioning? We had a lot of, like I said, a lot of call dominant flow, and you can see it in the positioning. This is a very simple way if you want to go directional trading or want to see how the exposure is. The easiest thing is just to take a very brief look at the delta exposure, and basically we had amazing flow in NVIDIA, Supermicron, and Lam Research and everything. They were hit very hard, and they didn't know about the strike in Venezuela, but still this is a theme from Friday. So we should see some moving up.
Let me add that we have the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas, and so we have the whole dog and pony show from all the Jensen Huang and Lisa Su, and everybody's going to be, touting their products and giving speeches. So could easily have been a front run.
Absolutely. Let me show you something else. 1 second. Also, let me change my screen. Need to go into TOS. So we can jump even to the next theme. All right. Right. Everyone is seeing my TOS. Okay. So again, the semis here, just the weekly expected move, nothing fancy here. Come on. Okay. Doesn't go bigger. I'm not the biggest fan of TOS, but you can do a lot of stuff here. But you can see we nearly closed on Friday on the upper weekly expected move, and volatility is relatively cheap still. So if you want exposure here, you would not be selling, but you would going for some debits. And we can go to the next interesting interesting stock, one of these high flyers from the last
Can you
weeks.
zoom in the time frame a little bit so people can see the numbers? Yeah, there you go. Thank
Yeah,
you.
this is now it works finally. Okay, so you see we broke the expected move on the upper side. It doesn't mean that we will do this week again, but clearly we are here. Even if I don't like technical terms, because I just trade on data. This is basically a very good sign that the positioning is working in favor here. You also see, if we go a bit zoom out, that here the premium is picking up, although we're going up. So it's still okay to go here for a credit. Let me go on for the other positioning and other stuff I've prepared for you. What else did I notice? RTLB, let me show this, has also the Rocket Lab one. We can swift back to the DEX chart 1 second. We will get better with time. Just got a new Mac delivered yesterday, so just changed things today in the morning. So very sorry for that. Okay, so you can see again the delta exposure here, which is very good.
Here it is. I see it.
It's very supportive, and you can see that basically this is a very bullish delta exposure. So if you want exposure, this is a very good play. You can also see that here the 80 calls were hit, the 70 put side, yes. And if we look at the call and gamma wall, if we can call it like this, I prefer to talk about reaction zones. We're below that, so that's for continuation there. And this was one of the things I noticed. So another play in the flow which you could easily take. Let's go on for.
Let me make a quick comment about Rocket Lab.
Yeah,
I believe that's in the whole basket of space stocks, for lack of a better word, and with the Elon Musk SpaceX coming public this year, whatever, there's a lot of interest in that as a momentum play, as a meme stocky kind of play. There's also interest in that as kind of a maturing company that might be a long-term player in there. And I think that this name and some other names are a theme for this year. And, you know, especially as excitement builds, if and when Elon goes public with his $1 trillion plus IPO, which I'm sure he will, because that's Elon. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that in for context.
Yep. Thank you, Paul. The next one we are going to take a look at is Tesla, and I'm going to show you here again the positioning. Two things here. Tesla had a breakdown. Why was that? Easily to explain if you look at the delta exposure here, which is quite imbalanced, which is very nice. If IV and volatility regime is working, that you can just sell strangles and or short straddle if you're into that, or do it with wings. Other thing is that we can take a look at the weekly and monthly expected move. 1 second, but first we will finish this and then I will give over to you, Paul, again, because a lot of people like to trade Tesla. So the gamma and put wall, they are the same here. And this gives us a mixed picture. And I believe because on Friday we had a lot of call dominated flow also on Tesla, that we should see some bounce here. But what is the range we are looking at? The 50 here is the battle zone. Paul, you can add to that. But I will also show you two things. I have a toss prepared for you. I need to switch to
I haven't
toss.
traded Tesla in a while, but just let me, you know, I glance at it and I own some shares, but brief, naive comment. we basically, Tesla hasn't gone anywhere for, I don't know, a few weeks or a month. It's kind of been bouncing in a zone. So it's interesting as a short-term iron condor, possibly, like you showed, that the exposure was kind of balanced, fishbone, frog in a blender pattern. And it might be due for a breakout if tech gets on its horse after lagging for a while. My bias would be to the upside.
Exactly. And we see here that we broke down, and this is also, hopefully the time frame changes. We haven't talked that much about the expected move and other stuff. We mainly talking about gamma levels and other stuff, but the expected move is very, very important in trading. We can do a deep dive. I will explain easy strategies and other things you can do here. But we lost the expected move last Thursday, and then we really dipped. We should, like Paul said, go to the upside again. The Z-score for the IV is still negative, and this means that just by looking at that, we would be better off on the first side to avoid plays just for the sake of credit. But if we circle back and we remember that we had call-dominated flow, we will go up. And if we look at normal NVRP, this is the normalized IV, it seems to be rich here. And we could go up from what we saw till the 490s again. And this was in the DEX chart because you saw it's mixed. And we have this 450. And if the 450 breaks, the way to 470 is very easily done for Tesla. So if you have exposure there, you can sell some credit, but not too much, because we have mixed results from the volatility side. And on the other side, if you take trades, you should skew to the upside. And I normally prefer to have both sides, not one clear trade just for the upside or downside. We do these kind of plays if we see very strong flow, but that's just from the flow analysis. I have another 5 to 6 tickers, but we will do that in depth some other time. And I will give over to you, Paul, and hope this was useful to your listeners here.
Thanks, Dan.
What happened? Oh, there we go. Okay, go ahead, Ben. You're up.
All right, guys. I'm going to keep mine short today. I think we're setting up very nicely for a dip midweek, personally. But I'll give you what I'm looking at today. First thing I'm looking at is if we can hold the 69.25 area. We've already rejected it once, so the more times we're in an area, the less the weaker that zone kind of gets. We've already rejected it. I'm hoping that we push above it into open. Okay. I'm looking to play 69.25 to 69.40 as my first trade of today. And then I'll see how we react around the 69.40 area right here. I think today is going to be pretty dead after the move happens. In this instance, I'm thinking the move would be to the upside. But regardless, if the move is to the downside, I think it'll be a pretty short-lived move, and then we kind of chop into tomorrow. That being said, I prepare for anything, and if we break above that 69.25, 69.40, and then 69.50 with some other levels to the upside. If we can't hold 69.25 at open, I'll expect to move down here to 69.13, 69.10, where we can hopefully find some buyers. I'd put a gun in my head and say, hey, we are going to find some buyers right around here, and then get that move to 69.40. Should we not see that bounce around 69.10, I will want to see 68.90. down here. Pretty simple game plan for today.
And that,
Go ahead.
and that lines up pretty well with the gamma zones.
Good.
I'm just going to throw this on
Please.
for 1 second. And you see that 6910 area that you spoke about was right at the top of the positive gamma reaction zone. It's right where we would expect to have that reaction. And over here, 6930 is where those calls are that would potentially pull us up or we stall out up there. So there's that confluence between methods.
And yeah, I mean, I think we might be playing between the levels today. Here's my bias. I hope we break to the upside because that will mean the sell-off could be more profitable. Yeah, it's with that bias that there is going to be a sell-off midweek. So don't listen to me too much. That's it for me.
That's it. Simple, short and sweet.
Yeah, nice and short and sweet. Tomorrow's and Wednesday should be a little bit more complex, but I want to keep it pretty straightforward as it's the first day back.
And speaking of tomorrow and Wednesday, let's just kind of move it along. I guess let's talk about the rest of the week. We have non-farm payrolls on Friday. We have various data points. I don't remember, all the macro stuff that the algos like to mess with. And so could make it a little more interesting week. And then we have VIX expiration next week. And so that always adds a little spice, let's call it, to the trading day. But that, that's next week's story.
Yep.
Let me pull this up while I remember. So Dan talked about the expected move, and here's the expected move in SPX. And so bottom of the expected move is 67, 66-ish, call it below 60, say, let's say 6750 is not supposed to break, roughly 100-ish points down. And on top, 6950, remember the all-time high was 6945. So the top is the all-time high area. The bottom is 6750, which was, I don't remember when that was, like a breakout level, but once upon a time that was a key level. And so now it's the level below us. And let's just throw in 6720, the December low, longer term time frame. It's kind of a key level flagged by Larry McMillan, the OG, and I wrote about it a little bit in my weekend note, and that there's been some research that when the December low breaks in the beginning of the year, then bearish flow tends to come in. So that's kind of about, I think, 3% below here, or whatever it is, or 2% below here. So that's not crazy. So I guess mark 6750 on your longer term charts, and mark 6720 as we don't want to see it, or if we do, we want to capitalize on it, or if we head down there, that might be a target. I guess so I throw that in. But for this week, so, I already sold some iron condors on Friday like I typically do. Above, I don't remember exactly where I was, somewhere around the 7,000 range on top and somewhere below 6,700 on bottom. I'll continue to build out some trades over there, around this expected move, looking at the gamma levels. So let me mention, because some of you may be watching and saying, well, what's going on? Why are we doing individual names? In the server, as part of the server, something that I don't talk about much, maybe we'll call it the best kept secret, and I'll kind of talk a little bit about more of that. Aside from my gamma trades and my SPX stuff, credit spreads, butterflies, occasionally long, but I don't like to buy options. I'd rather sell them. But I do like flies and stuff like that. I have paper hands. I know me. So I'd rather sell or buy flies. We also have Dan, who does those kind of very calculated, meticulous trades. You see the way he walked through his analysis. So he puts trade ideas in there. We have JD, who is more of your traditional scalper type. He gets those momentum trades I'm afraid to touch. He gets, he gets some of JD's stuff, whatever, calls on American Airlines, $1,600. He gets these kind of trades. I don't touch these. I just don't, That's anything wrong with them. That's just, I get nervous on the breakouts. I don't want to buy them. I want to sell them to you. But he trades these, and as you can see, he gets them pretty good. So we have that there. If that's your cup of tea, Netflix straddle earning play over here. So there's something for everybody, quote unquote. But hopefully, the main everybody is SPX. We have unusual whales.
Yeah, I'm setting up the
unusual
unusual wells to alert
Sorry,
everybody. I'm
again?
setting up the unusual wells to alert everybody when big flows come in automatically, when dealer positioning changes automatically. So there'll just kind of be like a news feed of unusual well posts in a specific chat that you guys can follow that I think would be helpful.
And we're going to be cleaning up some of this stuff in the server, and we're going to be launching a website in theory. And 2026 is going to have more webinar content. We're working on some kind of combined scalping course. So Chewy, tell them about your course, by the way.
Yeah, so I teach people how to kind of act and systematically approach trading. If this happens, you do that. It's a pretty high reward, low risk approach. We get some trades wrong, and when we get them right, we make off our losses and a lot more than that. It really lends itself to trading with prop firms and getting payouts with a kind of a low capital start. It's been really successful the last 2 years that I've done it. And this year we're going to align with the gamma levels, with docs doing, and kind of put it into one program. If you're interested in that, feel free to reach out to me, and we can do. I've got a bunch of intro calls this week, and I can squeeze you into that as well. The intro call is free, and just to see if it's a good fit for either of us.
Okay, thanks. I'm kind of messing around and trying to get my note out on time here because it's already late. Well, 60, it's late. Okay, I'm gonna call it a day here, mostly because I got my stuff out late, and even though I like to babble on, I'm just gonna send my note out, and we'll call it a day now, and see you guys in the room, and trade safe.
Goodbye, everybody.